The man jolted awake in the ocean, and the moment he opened his eyes, he knew something was wrong. There was a bullet hole right in the center of his palm, but strangely, he didn't feel any pain. Panicked, he rushed home and stood in front of the mirror for a closer look. That's when he noticed a round tear in his shirt, and beneath it, a gaping bullet wound in his chest. Staring at his pale reflection, Styx began to question whether he was even still alive. He immediately rushed to the hospital, desperately begging the nurse to let him see a doctor right away. But according to hospital protocol, he had to register his identity first. Flustered and in a hurry, Styx didn't bring any form of ID. As the two argued, a familiar voice suddenly called out from behind. It was a doctor, Simon, who recognized him by name without hesitation. Simon had once been his father's primary physician. They quickly stepped into a private examination room. Styx lifted his shirt and showed Simon the wounds on his hand and chest. The sight left Simon in disbelief. No one should be alive with injuries like these. Even the heart monitor displayed a flat line. Styx had no heartbeat. He immediately assumed the machine was broken, but Simon admitted he couldn't explain it either. He suggested taking tissue samples around the wounds, saying that whether Styx was alive or dead, this was a medical miracle. But the moment Styx heard that, he exploded with anger, accusing Simon of treating him like a lab rat, and stormed out. When he got back home, his dog suddenly started barking uncontrollably, as if Styx were a stranger, an intruder. He returned to the mirror and studied his body once more. Without hesitation, he grabbed a pair of tweezers and reached into the wound. He pulled the bullet out from his chest, bandaged himself with a cold, emotionless expression, trying hard to recall what had happened the night before. He was a cop, and the previous night he had secretly met a smuggler by the river. The man handed him a wad of cash and asked if there would be any surprise inspections. Styx took the bribe and assured him everything would stay quiet for a while. But shortly after they parted ways, he noticed some suspicious movement in the shadows. Through the darkness, he could just make out one person strangling another. He crept closer and shouted for them to stop. Startled, the attacker turned and fled. Styx rushed after him, while the victim lay lifeless on the ground. There was no time to think. He chased the suspect all the way to the end of the bridge, where the man ducked behind one of the support pillars. Styx moved in slowly, trying to subdue him, but at that very moment,